Hey
Man,
Trevor, how you doing, man?
how you doing?
Yeah,
All
good,
right,
good.
yourself?
Yeah, good, man, good.
Sorry
Yeah.
for the delay. Busy
No, yeah,
day.
hey, all good, man, all good. So,
Good.
whereabouts in Australia are you at the moment?
Canberra,
Canberra, nice. So you got a show there tonight, or?
we do play in the basement tonight.
Yeah, beautiful, cool. How's the
Looking forward.
yeah, how's the tour been so far, man? Are you enjoying yourself?
And the tour's been going well. We started in Japan, was killer, sold out gigs, and we did off day show to start the tour in Australia, then King Parrot on the Borderline Destruction, and two more shows, uh, Canberra, Newcastle, Canberra, Newcastle, then Sydney and Melbourne to finish it up.
Yeah, beautiful, nice one, man. It was cool. I wouldn't mind going back to 98, like, Boston 98. What was going on back then? Was there many metal shows, that sort of thing?
It was more hardcore.
Okay.
So there was basically young metal bands playing in the hardcore scene, and that's kind of where this version of metalcore came to be.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, metal went really underground after all the bands from the 80s and 90s. Either they were trying to get more popular with more softer music. Um, it kind of forced bands to find kids that liked heavy music, to find stuff that was still aggressive that they wanted to hear. And so
Hmm.
we would seek out bands like Earth Crisis and Snapcase, and more local bands for the Boston area. We had bands like Overcast and Sam Black Church and Cave In. It's a whole host of other bands, but these bands kind of combined with our thrash roots kind of helped form this sound. And that's really where it all came from.
Hmm. Yeah, cool. So 99, you guys put out Above the Fallen Man EP, and it seems like you found a pretty big audience, like quite quickly. Yeah, like what do you remember back then? About back then, like
That EP was actually our first demo tape. So we
hmm,
formed in August of '98. We recorded a demo tape in October. So
hmm,
pretty quick, it was only 4 songs. And we got, we played a bunch of shows. We were all in bands locally, so we had kind of a general following for us as players. And so we had shows out of the gate, and we got picked up by a label out of Connecticut called Endless Fight Records pretty quick. So he signed us, I believe, in December, like shortly after that the demo came out. And so he released it on CD form in '99, in May of '99. And then we just did a lot of regional weekend warrior type touring. And that caught the attention of Eulogy Recordings in 2000. So it was pretty quick.
hmm.
We were in the studio in September of 2000 to record Distinct Conscience, which came out in January of 2001, which is our first record.
Yeah, that's cool. And then jumping forward a little bit, 2006, you got Three in the Eyes of Fire, produced by Terry Date. How was Terry to work with? Like, that must have been
He
cool.
was fun, man. It was cool. He had a ton of the Pantera stories and everything. And we lived in Seattle for 7 weeks.
Hmm.
So that was the only time we lived off site for a record. For this last record, we did go to Jersey, but we went back and forth. We spent 3 or 4 days with Will and then come back. But that record, we all lived together and wrote most of the record in Seattle. So we had some bare bones stuff, and we just jam in the studio and just finish these songs. It was really cool to do it that way. So we kind of lived that record. I think it was the only record we actually lived as a band. So it's definitely a life experience that is we'll look back on very fondly with.
Yeah, cool. And you've toured with so many bands over the years. Are there any people or bands that you've sort of connected with when you see over and over again and sort of become mates with?
Yeah, I mean, we have our best friend type bands, but it's what's really cool about now is you see a lot of these bands that might have stopped touring as they get older, but they're coming back now to either do small tours or even come back full-time touring.
Hmm.
It's great seeing our friends and leading through recently. We just saw them at Furnace Fest back in September, and we did a bunch of tours with them back in the day. And so to see them being so active again, I know they've come in and out of it,
Hmm.
but to see them so active again is really killer. But every time I dial, oh my God, Killswitch Engage, we just did some shows recently. We had friends in Chimera. But it's always fun to make new friends everywhere. Like we just were in Tokyo, and we just made great friendships with this band called Sable Hills. So we like to have fun on the road. We don't like to make enemies, of course. We
Hmm.
like to
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
be friendly with people around us and have the best experience for us, and to make them have a great experience. And I'll always say it. I'll always tie it back to when we toured with Damage Plan back in 2004. Is that Diamond Vinny were our, idols of ours, and we were first to four on that tour, and they treated us like they'd known us for 20 years and treated us like we were direct support to them,
Hmm.
where was the opener. There's no ego. They didn't put us down in any way, and so we've never done that to a band. And we've always tried to give that same experience for bands we've toured with over the years.
Yeah, nice. That's cool, man. So talking about other bands, what have you been listening to lately?
Um, a ton of stuff, man. I'm really reinvigorated by the underground, which is now in, I can't even call it the underground, but just heavy music in general is just growing. It's growing
Hmm.
very rapidly.
Yeah.
A band called Spite that is killer. But years ago, before we wrote record Extinctions, bands like Power Trip and Knocked Loose were pretty young bands, but they were catching wind. And I was like, hell yeah, that's the sound. Because I think metalcore kind of got lost in the mid to late 2000s. Metalcore became kind of watered down. I think the people that were interpreting metalcore thought it should be, melodic metal with poppy choruses, where to me that's not what it is. To me, it's it's heavy metal with hardcore parts,
Hmm.
and it's a lot of it's lyric driven. That's why you call it core. There's an ethic behind it. Um, you might talk about, socially relevant things instead of demons and wizards, which is nothing wrong with that. I love
Yeah, yeah.
power
Hmm.
metal.
Hmm.
It's just that is what classifies this as metalcore. And so these bands are doing that again. And it's like, okay, these kids were listening, and it's bringing this sound back to the forefront. And you see bands blowing up, and it's awesome to see. You see like true metalcore bands playing huge shows, massive concerts, bigger than, bands like us did back in mid 2000s. So it's really cool to see this whole genre grow to where it is now.
Yeah, that's cool. And with you guys, you've had lineup changes over the years, but in June last year, I think Mike came back as a drummer after almost 10 years. So did you guys stay in contact or something after, through that time? Like how did that come about?
15 years, man. It's
15, Jesus, wow, yeah.
we parted with Mike mid tour back in 2007.
Okay.
Um, I regret how it went down. We were friends back then. We had grown up together in that whole scene. We had toured so much together, and things weren't gelling, and it just didn't work out on tour. And we went on without him for a long time.
Mm,
And we parted with Nick Pierce this past spring. And I was talking with Buzz. I'm like, how do we move forward here? And we're like, it has to be Mike. He's the only guy. And we know he's in Madball, and we know that there's going to be a sharing of him on the road because he's a professional drummer. Madball tours, we tour. Both bands don't tour quite as much as they used to, so that there's going to be some sort of happy medium that we meet. But we respect Madball to no end. But man, it's so great to have Mike back. His performance level is unmatched, man. He's a beast on the drums, and he's all over the place. He jumps off the freaking risers all the time, and man, he's a lot of fun to play with.
yeah, awesome. And how do you think Unearth's changed over the years with like writing and that kind of thing? Like, do you think it's pretty similar sort of format, like writing wise, or is the plan kind of changed the way you put it together?
We've always maintained that we want to be heavy.
Yeah.
And so there's gonna be that kind of bass sound that is unearthed, and you can tell it's unearthed, but we've always tried to grow each record as writers and players. And so, for instance, on the last record, Extinctions, I really went, I expanded my range vocally. And so this record, I even went further, a lot further on this new record. And Buzz forced himself, he wrote all the songs musically. I write all the vocals and lyrics. And because he forced himself to write the songs differently, he didn't allow himself to lean on certain comfort zones to force him to write differently, which then created different sounding songs, which then led to me singing differently because it just had a different platform, a different bass to sing over. And it added a lot of different elements to our songs. And also working with Will Putney for the second time also helped because he got to know us as players, and really he got to expand what we could do, and he could see what we could do. He was a great vocal coach in the studio. He was really pushing me, and I'm really excited for everyone to hear the end product. The first single came out today. You can hear at the end I'm doing kind of a Gregorian chant type thing, and so there's cleans in the record, but not puppy cleans and like choruses. I'm trying to just really show more dynamic vocally and grow myself as a vocalist, and we're all doing that as players.
Yeah, cool. And so lyrically, have you always kind of taken care of that, or do you kind of have a chat as a band, like what do we want to address this time, that sort of thing?
It's always been me, and it's funny. I've always left the door open, and I want people to give their lyrics to the band, and only a couple of times in the past has it happened. But this record was all me. And I bounce ideas off Will. So Will's a big help as well. So a few times in this record, I would give him a song, he read through it and be like, "You can do better." So I'm like, okay, I'll do better.
Yeah.
And we'd go back and forth, and it was really helpful just to get there. And sometimes it's painful, it's frustrating, and sometimes you just want to throw your hands up and say, "I'm out of here," but then you can't, because you have a responsibility to your bandmates, to your label, and yourself. And most of all, your fans. It's like, we got this record, we have to put out this music, and it's sometimes it's frustrating, and it's difficult, but once it's done, it's extremely rewarding to have that end product.
Yeah, cool. And so yeah, new song today. When are we going to hear another one? Like, is there a date or anything?
It's maybe a month or so.
Okay.
I'd have to check the schedule, but I know that the record's due to come out, I think, sometime in May. So there's a whole schedule that they want to have at least 3 songs out before the record is dropped. So within the next 5 months, we'll hear at least 3 songs.
Cool. And are you playing any of those new songs as part of the new set? Well,
we are. So we started playing the first single, "The Wretched, the Ruinous," live in Japan, and we've continued that here in Australia, and we'll continue to do that for the rest of this run. We finish in Taipei, Taiwan, and then we have 2 months off before we head to Europe. So when we play Europe, we'll likely add another 1 or 2 to that set list.
Yeah, beautiful. And any like music videos or anything like that in the back ready to go on?
We just shot a video in Tokyo.
Cool.
I just saw the edit today. We submitted it to the label, to Century Media, and if all goes as planned, they get the right upload approvals and all that, then it should be up this week sometime. I'm guessing by after the 26th, unless something goes wrong. You know, there's always room for error, but it's submitted, it's in hand. So I've seen it. It's a throwback to our video. If you've ever seen it, it's a song called "Endless." It's a live, high intensity video. The packed crowd just going for it. It was a lot of fun to shoot in that club, and people in Tokyo brought a lot of energy to that show. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, awesome, man. Cool. Trevor, thanks heaps for your time. I hope you enjoy the rest of the tour, and yeah, definitely looking forward to hearing what comes next, man. Thanks.
Thanks for taking the time. Appreciate you.
Yeah. Cheers, Ed. See ya.